Oh, there was 6 of us children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what did your father do?
He was a builder.
Mm-hmm.
Builder. And because there was no running water, no bathrooms, everyone around here had outhouses.
You had electricity?
No. Kerosene lights.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the richer had happened to get some lights. But the light company was Charlie Gamage. Right down in South Bristol on the back side, he had a generator that he made himself. And he supplied power to different ones around the island here.
You had to pay for it, though.
Oh, sure. And then, when Central Maine moved down from down in, they bought Charles Gamage out. They bought him out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much or anything about it, but they bought him out. I don't think we had power until I was probably 12 or 13 years old before we had power.
Mm-hmm. That was in the
That was back
20s?
in I was born in 1917.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, that would be about in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Before we started getting power all through here everywhere. And then of course the only thing we had for radios was a little 2 tubes that stuck up, about that square, the tubes stuck up above, and you could just barely hear them. There was old battery operated radios, and that's the only thing there was in them. Until until they start coming up, getting on making them good. And then of course, when your power got here, by the time the power got here, they had radios that you plugged into the power. But the ones that we had was all battery.
But you had running water in your house, or?
We didn't know. We had Everett Gamage up on the hill here. Well, I'll show you when we go.
Mm-hmm.
Had a goddamn great big wooden barrel to hold water, and he run lines down in South Bristol down to garages, and he run them down through here, all down here, and it never come into the house. It hooked off the doorstep, and as you went out and turned the faucet on.
Uh-huh. And those pipes, they didn't freeze in the winter, did they?
Oh, they had to be drained just as soon as freezing weather started coming. They were all drained.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was no trees here, no trees there, no trees out here, and none here. This was all field land, right straight through, just as you can see, and from right up to the quarry, the big quarry. There's a quarry up in here, you know, it's a granite quarry.
So all the trees were cut for firewood?
They were just it was all field land.
Mm-hmm.
When I came here, it was all field land, because no one mowed it. It was full of burdocks, and oh Jesus, what a mess.
So when did you move to this house?
I moved here in 1940.
Uh-huh. And where were you before then?
Oh, I was
Up the hill?
I was down my house down below, down below here.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that big yellow house up there?
Yeah.
My old homestead was just down back of it.
And this was the barber shop?
Huh? This was a lot of barbers.
Mm-hmm.
Charles McFarland.
Mm-hmm.
And then that place that I told you about, the big building store where the thing is, where the parking lot is over there, just off of the wharf. Well, upstairs you come off the street and you walked upstairs, and there was a library in one end and a barber shop in the other.
Mm-hmm. So there were 2 barbers in town?
Yeah. Yeah.
How much did they charge? Do you remember?
Well, I can't remember that. You don't imagine it was very much.
Did you burn firewood, or?
Yeah, I burned firewood, yeah.
So that's one of the reasons.
And then I had my stove put oil burners in it, and kerosene was 10 cents a gallon. And this shed was hooked up there, and I took and had barrels. Them doors wasn't on there. There was a big window on this side right here, and a door over here. So I had barrels, 2 55-gallon barrels set up on horses in there, and Foss Etheridge was the oil man, and he kept them barrels filled all the time for me, and they was 10 cents a gallon. You'd play hell for that now. I graduated from here. You graduated there from here.
Old schoolhouse.
Yeah, that's the old schoolhouse. Yeah.
And you went there for all your years?
Yeah.
Remember any of your teachers?
Huh?
Remember any of your teachers?
Yes, Hicks was one of them. Page was another one.
What were they like?
Well, they boarded out to different places here.
Were they pretty strict?
Yeah. And there's B. Lord was another one. And Schmidt, Mrs. Schmidt was another one. I remember most of them.
They teach by the rod?
Huh?
They teach with a ruler to smack you, or?
That's right. You didn't get away with any goddamn foolishness now, I'll tell you. And that is just the trouble. These kids today, they can't be disciplined. The minute you try discipline, the law's on their side. That was right up to graduation, to the 12th year.
And then what did you do after that?
I didn't do nothing. I just went to work. I didn't have money enough to do anything.
And what kind of work did you do?
I went into carpenter business.
Building homes, or?
Oh no, yeah. And then I had a big gang of me and myself. I had 20 men, and I was everywhere, from Warren, Maine, Bristol to Brunswick.
Well, what was your company name?
Just my name, and my own name.
And what kind of buildings were you constructing?
I done commercial and residential.
And you raised your family right here in this house?
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Raised my family right here. Of course, they went off to school. See, that they shut this up here, and of course my kids went off to Lincoln, and then Claudia went off to Farmington, to the University of Maine, and she's a teacher. Well, I retired here about, well, I still was working up into my 80s. I went down to the stores and put a brand new kitchen and done the bedrooms all over and everything else. And I was in my 80s.
And how many children did you have?
I had 3. 3 children. Yeah. I lost my wife here about 6-7 years ago. And I got an older daughter that's a school teacher, and she's quit the school teaching. She works in fabrics now. She lives in Wiscasset, and my other daughter lives in Booth Bay, and he's a carpenter. He's a contractor builder. And my son lives up on the East Road, and he's a builder. And when I was a kid, right up until I was, probably 15 years old, the only doctor that we had was Dr. Fernald, who lived across East Booth Bay. And Captain Ambrose Alley over here had a boat that he would go day and night and get the doctor and bring him back, take him back and forth. And he lived right over here. So he'd get this Dr. Fernald, he'd go and get him anyone sick, he'd go get him, right a dead of winter or any time. He'd go get him and then take him back. I can see the old doctor now walking with that goddamn black handbag. because my sister had a broken needle off in her arm. And that goddamn needle followed that vein way up here. And I can remember him coming and to copper it and take that needle out because it would gone to heart. So us kids had to stay outdoor. The rest of us, all of us, while the doctor was in there with Fern and my mother and father. And I can remember that just a goddamn place could be. Standing there waiting for the doctor to come out and see if everything was all right. That cellar looked like Hannaford's. The racks up underneath the four timbers down cellar was racks. And my father went off fishing and brought in big pollocks, spread them, salted them, and dried them. Dried pollock. And those racks would be filled with the fish. Then we had the big gardens, and my mother and daughters would take and can all summer. So that cellar looked just like Hannaford's store. There was barrels of potatoes, barrels of this, barrels of that, besides all this, and even eggs. Eggs was put down in the, what the hell was the name of the stuff? Water glass. They used water glass and put eggs in it that keep forever. Christ, I've driven a car since I was 14, never had a fender bender even. An Essex. An old Essex. And it cost me $25. Boy, I tell you that she was a beauty.
And when did you get that? When you were still in high school?
I bought it from Adnai Andrews right down here. He wanted me to paint the inside cabin of the boat that he worked on the island. He says, if you paint that cabin out for me, I'll give you that car. Well, now I want you to know that was some gift. I used that for 2 years. I went all over hell. She had old high wheels, you know, you could go almost anywhere. But she had no power. The power was, I said, I don't think you could get more than 35 miles an hour downhill.
Was that a two-seater or a four-seater?
It's a two-seater. Well, I mean, 4 people, a back seat and a front seat.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, in the spring of the year, you had to be careful because when you went up the Four Corners and took that Harrington Road across there, you'd get mired. And then you'd have to go and get, what's his name, to haul you out with horses. Now he's been mired there more than once in there. That was a goddamn just swampy road you ever saw in your life in the spring of the year. If you got a ride with someone to go down Muscatine, that was a treat. I rode up a number of times with the Solid Boom. He has an old Chevy. And I can remember going to Scotty with him. Rode to Scotty with him. He'd give me a ride to Scotty, he wanted to go to Scotty. And that was in the summer. No one went in the winter. There was no such thing as anyone going to Scotty in the winter.
But you didn't go up to Scotty that much.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no. That was a thing of the past. That was a thing of the past. And there wasn't no Four Corners up here, you know. Where you know where you got 4 roads coming?
By the Harrington Road.
That one that goes right straight ahead, no, that wasn't there. If you wanted to go to Scotty, you took a left and go way up over that hill. Got over to the goddamn office, and then you took a right. Across on a little dirt road.
By Clark's farm.
That's right. That was the road to Denver, Scotty.
So you didn't do that very much?
No, oh God almighty, no. Very, very seldom.
The roads were pretty bad.
Oh, Jesus. Well, hardly even plowed them. There was no such thing as sand. I never heard of sand on the road. She built up ice. Us kids would go up to the fire station up here and come down through here and go down through the village and halfway up the other hill, across all them bridges. There was 2 bridges there then, you know. There was this first bridge, and then you went by the old store, and there was another bridge.
Right on the bend there.
Yeah.
Well, you mean in sleds you went down?
Huh?
You went down in sleds?
Yeah. We used to take slides twice, night after night after night. Older people and young people. Everybody did.
Now, did you have toboggans or runner sled?
No, just runner sleds. And some of those sleds, dumb runners, there was one of the dumb runners that Phil what's his name, down the Cove home, it held 10 children, 10 people on it. Oh, it was long. I said it was a long, heavy. And then Ernest Alley had one that held, they were big double runners. All the plank on them was probably that wide, with foot fields, pins coming out, where you put your feet. And there was 2 sleds, a big sled on front, a big one on back. And that board, the top board would reach from here to that, into that building, where you sat on it. Double runner, because you know, I don't believe there's too many seen on. They wouldn't know what it was.
Now, did they have horse-drawn sleighs too, or did they? You still have horses?
Yes, they had some. They had after Farron had one, and the Fosters had one. They had sleds, you know, to take stuff around, and lots of times the mail was delivered, and milk was delivered with the horse and wagon in the winter time. Oh yeah, we used to love to get on that goddamn sleigh. We'd go over to Farron's there, and Bob Farron was my age, and him and Junior, and Margaret, all of them, we'd go to hook up old Dolly, she was an old one, and they had a sleigh, and I don't know what the sleighs was outside the building up here. When you rode by, there was them sleighs right by that pond. Up by that little pond. And I guess they put them away or someone bought them or something maybe. But them was the sleighs that we used to ride in. They'd hook up old Dolly after school and we'd go around this island going like a bat out of hell. And when that old Dolly got 2/3 of the way, she knew she was going back to the barn. Boy, she'd give us a good go. Good ride. Well, growing up, we always went skating. A whole gang of us, we'd always have a big bonfire at night time, and we would skate until about 10 o'clock at night. All of our skating was right down here to Nellis Pond. And then of course we had another pond. This I could show you, I would show you that too. And up around that way. And where this road is now, this road didn't go up over that hill. When you went round here, this road went over towards that point.
Did you have a boat?
Yeah, I had a boat. I told you so, I always had a boat. I had a little wooden boat there with a one-liner engine there. And then, after I was married, I bought an aluminum boat with a 35-horse motor on it. That thing would go. Oh yeah, I fished a lot. Yeah, trout fishing, freshwater fishing, and surf fishing. I done a lot of surf fishing in Florida. My wife and I had a 30-foot trailer, 5th wheel and big truck. And every winter, I'd turn the job over to my son, and I'd go to Florida for 3 months till warm weather come back in April. And I used to do a lot of surf fishing down there. I still got my lines and everything out here, all of that stuff. Yes, I've been with stripers. The biggest one I caught was 3 feet, and my wife caught one 42 inches long. Now I want you to know that was a fish.
Where'd you catch that?
Up the Sheepscot River. Yeah. And that was everybody this side of hell up there. There was fish. You never saw so many boats in your life up there. Looking, fishing for the stripers. I didn't care for the meat. I really didn't care for the meat. No. I just fished for the fun of fishing. like mackerel and stuff like that. This is the first year I haven't gone over to co-op and fish for mackerel. I know if I got down in there, Nevis Grass will get it back up again. But I do miss it because it was a lot of fun. And I didn't use them, I just gave them away. And the same way with the striper. We tried a piece of it, we give the rest of it away. They cut steaks off it, and they usually didn't go to waste. Up that bridge.
Yeah.
Oh Christ, yes, I was here when they was building the other one. That was a lift bridge, like that. And they had great big huge blocks on tracks that hauled it up. Well, similar to the one in the Bath Bridge. The old, don't you know those great big heavy blocks that lifted? Well, that's what that was. Had heavy blocks that lifted that bridge. Then of course I remember when they was building this one, when they tore that one down and put a temporary place out around it. A temporary bridge, wooden bridge. While they was building this one that they got down right now. Drugstore. And ice cream parlour. And that was the hall, that's all right back of you. It was a restaurant and the post office. That was the post office when I was a kid. One end was the post office, the other end was a restaurant. And the hall upstairs was never ever used then, until after Bob Fairingham got it.
And they had dances in that hall?
Oh, they had dances, yeah. They had dances in there, yeah.
Did you go to them?
And, oh yes, I had vaudeville acts, and I'll never forget the time the fellow could come there, they put on a vaudeville act. And he was setting up on the stage, there's a little stage in there, and of course the damn thing's all wooden sheathing, you know, inside. He was sitting on a chair, balanced on bottles, putting on an act. When some of the fishermen come in from Pemmiquid, I don't know, around here too, and someone threw this goddamn great big potato about that big, and it just missed that guy's head, and he fell ass over head off there, off the floor. And when he hit that wall, sounded as though the whole side of the building was coming down. Well, he got up, mad at that hill. He was going to arrest that person, he never did find the person though. And of course everybody was laughing till the tears come right out your eyes. It was so damn funny. What works. All they had was just a fiddle and a piano, and, you know, just like they used to. There was no real bands to it. Well, Raymond McFown, he used to play. Jack Turner used to play on the drums. And Raymond McFown played the piano. People. Jack Turner always chewed tobacco. They had the goddamn no big can down there. Every now and then you used to see him spit a hell of a goddamn wad of tobacco. He keep right on playing, just said chew tobacco.
Now, did you ever go over to Pemmiquid?
Oh yes, oh my God, just used to go there a lot. When they had the dances at Redmond's Hall then, you know. And that was every Saturday night. Oh yeah, we all, oh gosh, they come from everywhere, from down the Scott here and everywhere. Everybody went there. They had good, nice time there. This here was another store. This was Louis Seiders right here, this one. And then this was another market right here. This was a grocery store here. Oh, there was a big store right there, right on the wharf over here to East Woodbury. That it was similar to the stores that were in Scotland. I mean, they had everything. That used to be the firehouse right over there. On that one. And she'd cough and spit, and they'd have to shift her about 25 times before they got up over the hills. When they got up over the hills, I don't know how fast she went downhill. I don't manage very fast. An old great big bell on the front bumper, and someone with the rope rigging it. That was instead of a siren. Well, time they got there, goddamn, all it would be was a cellar. left, so we called them the Solar Savers. South Bristol burned for a year now. In around 1917, in April, with the howling northwest wind, started down back of those buildings in a little boathouse. And it took, I don't know how many houses in the Summit House up here, and it burned halfway to Christmas Cove. All they had was bucket brigade. There was no such thing. They never had a fire engine. Yeah, they figured out 2 boys was down in there smoking in the boat shop and got the shavings on fire. They figured that's what happened. Now the big fire took all these places here, all of them. And it started right down in here. There was a boathouse right down in here. And that was before my time. I had, my father filled me in on that. It happened in 1917 when I was born. I was just a baby, he said.
Fires in the 40s, did they come down this far? Or, you know, the Damascotta burned and Scotty burned. And then
though the big fires, we was lucky. We patrolled the roads 24 hours right round the clock. We'd go by 2s. Like 2 people would take this and go down around the island. 2 more would go down to Christmas Cove. 2 more would go up on the McFarland Road. 2 more down on the right straight, the whole thing. The whole town was maintained and watched right round the clock. So we was lucky. We didn't have no fires, but there was everywhere around us. Of course, you'd never get that sun till, you wouldn't see the sun till out in the afternoon. That'd be that awful haze, you know.
So is this always a causeway here, or did they build?
Yeah, always, yeah. There's always right here. When we have a bad storm, breaks right over it though sometimes. A lot of the trade down there, I was sailboats where people from different colleges had boats and would come in to get groceries or get ice cream or something like that.
Now, did you socialize with the summer folk?
No, we didn't much. We were really kind of away from them. It was beyond us. It was too good for us.
Or you were too good for them, one of the other.
Yeah, that's what it was. But people now mix more than they used to with. Today they mix more now. Back then, you did. You stayed on your side, and they stayed on theirs. They had big garage down there where they took care of the in people's cars. You know, they come in there, the tourist cars. They had a big garage, big one down there. And then after Ferry had a big store down there. He had a big store and an ice cream place and everything down there.
And they come in for the summer, the whole summer?
Yeah, just for the summer.
And did they?
All of that stuff was all closed up right after Labor. All this stuff. It's just like your campgrounds. Most of your campgrounds around here, just as soon as Labor Day comes, they're closed up. Now that place right there, see it? Right there was the Farrer House, and it's got 26 rooms. And when I was first married, I knew the owner, and she let me live in that, and she wanted to sell it to me for $1,000. I didn't want no 26 rooms.
Where did you swim? Did you go swimming in the summer?
Swim right down here, and right off the floats over here. That house wasn't there, you know. Gamage's house. And up on the edge of the bank, higher up, was a little old barn that they kept hay in for the cow. We never climbed down here, but we used to down towards Christmas Cove, There was a big sand beach down there we used to take and climb. And over in South Bristol, from a co-op over towards the island, we used to climb, but none of these
nothing in here.
We never climbed these down here. That is Samuel Miles, Samuel Miles Estate, the one that built the hospital, Miles Memorial Hospital. Samuel Miles and his wife built the first hospital. Yeah, it was all fixed up with rooms on every floor, about 110 feet high, and it was all for his guests, that he had. And everybody this side of hell waded through the snow to get over to see it.
The
Quite sight.
Tower just fell over?
Yeah, quite sight, yeah. And every year in October, he'd have a Halloween party for us kids. And I was probably around 8, 9 years old, and we'd walk over there and he'd put on a big party for us. Him and his wife done a hell of a lot for South Bristol, I'll tell you.
And that's the Miles family?
Huh?
That was the Miles?
Yeah, that was the Miles. And they built the hospital up here, Miles Hospital. The first hospital they had. If someone threw this goddamn great big potato about that big and it just missed that guy's head and he fell ass over head off the floor. And of course everybody was laughing till the tears come out your eyes. It was so damn funny.